Welcome to the Bend Don't Break podcast. We are powered by The Source, Bend's locally owned media company and weekly newspaper. This podcast is our eddy in the rushing waters of local journalism. We are glad that you're taking some of your time to listen to us chat with the people who shape our local community. Support us through our member program at bensource.com.
Thank you to our presenting sponsor, RE/MAX Key Properties, a family-owned full-service real estate brokerage specializing in residential, luxury, commercial, new construction, and ranch and land properties. Their new state-of-the-art facility at 42 Greenwood Avenue is a modern, collaborative space and the new home of the Bend Don't Break podcast recording studio.
I'm Aaron Switzer, producer of this podcast with my co-producer, Megan Burton, off screen, and publisher of The Source. Thank you for being with us today. Our guest is Dr. Travis Allen. He is honored to be the executive director of the Central Oregon Symphony Association, a versatile cellist, educator, and arts leader. Dr. Allen has been a part of the classical music scene in Central Oregon since 2008. Known for his dedication to performance, chamber music, and music education, he currently serves as principal cellist of the Central Oregon Symphony and is the cellist of the Dove String Quartet. For the past 5 years, Dr. Allen has served as the executive director of the Central Oregon Youth Orchestra. In addition to his performance and leadership roles, he is also on the faculty at Central Oregon Community College, where he teaches music history, as well as second-year music theory and musicianship. Continues to perform regularly, including with the Sun River Music Festival, and will continue to perform as principal cellist with the Central Oregon Symphony. He is not doing something musical. He's likely in the outdoor with his wife and daughter. I hope we got all that correct.
That sounds good. It's very thorough.
Travis, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you're new to the executive director position.
Yeah, it's been a little over a year at this point. Yeah.
What made you decide to take on the insanity of being the executive director for the symphony?
That's a great question. I was thinking about that today. I think in some ways, I sort of have fallen into these positions.
Yeah.
The youth orchestra I started back in just before actually COVID hit,
Okay.
and just wanted a little more, just a little more to do, and wanted to be involved sort of in a more leadership role in the music community, especially with youth back then.
What year was that started? What year did you?
I started in the beginning of 2020, so like February of 2020.
Yeah. So you've been in the community for a while, if it had been 8 to 20.
Yeah. And so I was doing that until roughly about just a little over a year ago when I assumed this role.
Where did you get your music education?
Yeah.
Your education.
Yeah. So I guess a little background about me that some people might know already, but I actually grew up in Bend.
Wow.
So went to Bend Senior High and graduated in 1997, and then went away to Portland State, eventually got my master's there in cello performance.
Okay.
And wanted to explore other aspects of music as well, a little bit more theory and history, and so went to UC Santa Barbara and got my doctorate in musicology, which is sort of like theory history based. Yeah.
I've seen the University of Santa Barbara campus. Is it as incredible as it seems to go to school there?
It is pretty nice. I don't know if there is a campus that is as on the beach as UC Santa Barbara is.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice place to be.
Yeah, I mean, we were visiting, and I thought, man, if I could have, I never would have left. I might not have graduated.
Yeah.
It's a great town.
Yes.
And what did you study when you were there?
So that was musicology.
Okay.
Which is it's an encompassing degree of music academics. So we have history and theory and culture and things like that.
And consider me ignorant, but there's playing the cello, and then there is taking courses about playing the cello.
Sort of.
Musicology. Why would you go into musicology? Why go into things like music theory?
So that's more just discussing like the history of music, so where music has come from, if we're talking about musicology, sort of its central role.
Right.
And who these composers were and what they were writing and why they were writing it the way they were. And then the theory is talking about like the music itself and why it was composed in a specific way or how it was composed in a specific way at a
Sure.
specific time.
Does it make
Yeah.
you a better performer?
It can,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or are you born with it? Like
Um,
writing. We often say like I was a creative writing major and I was like, you're either a creative writer or you're not a
yeah.
creative writer. We can sand the edges, but it still might be a block of wood.
Yeah, I think there's probably a spectrum. I feel like some people I've taught on the cello
Yeah.
grasp it really quickly, and others it's a little more of a challenge. But there's plenty of people in between where
Yeah.
just more dedication and time they do really well as well. Um, but yeah, knowing more about the music itself can actually uh, inform your performance. So you might bring something out that you might not before, or um, at the very least, it helps you understand why something is made a certain way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you how did you end up actually uprooting yourself from Santa Barbara and migrating back to Lava Bear country?
Yeah. So your statement about staying rings true for me a little bit. I wasn't planning on coming back to Bend, um, and I wasn't sure necessarily where I would end up, but I also wasn't planning on leaving Santa Barbara at the time I did. But I re-met someone that I had known growing up here. We hit it off, and I came up to live here and finish my work, my graduate work down
Yeah.
in Santa Barbara.
While you were living here?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And then yeah, we just stuck around. So
Was this high school sweetheart?
it was someone I
Wanted to be a high school sweetheart.
yes, there was someone I admired
Yeah.
and yeah, so
How did you reconnect?
um through just a mutual friend,
Okay.
another friend of mine who had moved back, had gotten her, ran into her and gotten her number, and
Yeah.
so I sort of ran into her and some other folks, and
Yeah.
yeah, we just sort of reconnected over time. I'd come up and visit my family and try to, see her as well.
Uh, there's a little movie there
And yeah,
with
right.
cello in the background, I
There you
think.
go. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So then, did you move here before the position opened up at COCC? Were you here
Yeah.
when the position opened? Oh, that's fortunate.
Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
here and then, yeah. And then, yeah, there was a small position that opened up to teach like one class. And
Okay.
so I did that and just gradually added some more classes as I
Yeah.
stuck around. Yeah.
And then, and so what was the first, so when did you begin teaching up at COCC?
I think it was
Was it-
2009.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
And then, so from there, was it was the first thing that beyond the college teaching, was it the youth choir that you got, or youth orchestra that you got involved with?
Sort of. Yeah. So I was teaching at the college and playing cello around town, and just doing as much as I could. There was also
That's not a very big gig, playing cello around the Central Oregon community in 2009. I think.
there's quite a few opportunities, but yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like you don't have a gig every weekend.
Yeah,
We'll start that.
right.
But yeah, there was also, it's still actually in existence. There's this after school orchestra that's now run by the Cascade School of Music,
Oh, right.
and I taught that for a while as well.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, just kept sort of building that in my private cello studio, and
Yeah.
yeah, until the youth orchestra gig. Yeah.
Do
for
you
sure.
do you work with the Cascade School of Music quite a bit? I mean, the youth orchestra, I think, would feed collaboratively with those guys.
We did collaborate with them when I worked with them. When I worked with the youth orchestra, but mostly it just sort of depends. But there are a lot of individual instruction, not all of it, but a lot
Right.
of it, and so it just sort of depended on
Okay. Yeah.
how we could collaborate. And in that time frame too, we had the COVID situation, so at least our youth orchestra was shut down for a few years.
Yeah. Were you able to I mean, you're pretty much in a group when you're performing. Were you able to do much during the pandemic, or
Not really at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody felt this way, but there was definitely are we ever going to go play again? I don't, are we going to be in public? I don't know.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a theme here on our podcast. Like,
Yeah.
what were you doing during the podcast? We should just make, hey, Megan, we should just make that a standing question, because it's become Yeah, it's
becomes
become a question anyways, since
yeah.
it's still so relevant. But yeah, everything was. That's when we started doing the podcast during the
Mm,
pandemic because we couldn't get out and see anybody, so we started zooming all these things. But
yeah, that makes
I
sense.
distinctly remember, like, are we ever going to do any of this stuff again? Feeling,
Yeah.
and but when it was coming to things like groups and stuff, some were getting together. I never knew. Like I do see you'd it was random, right? You'd see some sports groups playing, but some sports groups not, and some. So you didn't know how people were navigating it,
Yeah, definitely.
for sure.
Yeah.
So when the pandemic restrictions lifted, I got to believe there was a flood of people looking to get their skills back up from.
Definitely. And also it was but it was very, I don't know if you remember this, but it was very, especially with the students and kids going back to school, still very piecemeal.
Yeah.
So some schools, like some private schools, were able to open, some
Yeah.
public schools weren't. Some people were really still very cautious. So when we first started back with the youth orchestra, yeah, we were
Yep.
at Trinity actually, because
Yeah.
they could provide a space for us and were open. And our group was relatively small,
Yeah.
and then we grew from there.
I gotta think it was basically family by family at that point. It had
Hmm.
become pretty individual,
Yeah,
like how you felt, what your by the end, it was what's your comfort level,
yeah,
where are you at on the spectrum,
yeah, definitely.
and so I imagine some kids for sure would have been out to you earlier than others.
Yeah. And then when it came to the symphony, which I was playing in, we were rehearsing a lot with masks, and um, eventually we were able to do some performances. But initially, it was just sort of getting together and playing
Yeah,
with some distance, so that we
right,
could
sure.
at least still get together
Yeah,
and work on music
that's awesome.
and play together. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure there were tears, people crying as they picked their instruments back up at
probably. Yeah,
first time.
yeah, definitely.
Well, for people who don't know, maybe tell us a little bit about the Central Oregon Symphony. What do people need to know?
That's
I mean,
about
how large are you?
yeah, it's a great question. We have anywhere from 70 to 90 members, depending
Okay.
on what the music is required. And it is a community orchestra.
Yeah.
So it also is really dependent on people's schedules. So sometimes, we'll have, I play the cello. So sometimes we'll have like 13 cellos in the section, and sometimes we'll have six. It just depends who's
Sure.
available
Yeah.
um, for that time frame. But it's been around, um, actually, I don't remember its actual founding year now that I think about it, but
Yeah.
it's around 60 years old.
Yeah.
So it's been around for a long time and gone through a lot of conductors. Our last conductor, of course, was here for um, the longest stint. Has been
Yeah.
sort of like the
For
stalwart of our
Michael.
symphony. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And have you guys found a new conductor yet?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have. So his name is Jonathan Moore,
Okay.
and he has a great conducting background, and actually is from this community, which is pretty rare too. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
He was conducting with the youth orchestra as well as some other places in town, and yeah, he's a fantastic guy.
So, how many performances do you guys do in a year, or
So
what does your season look like?
yeah, we generally start, most orchestra seasons do this, where the community orchestra or otherwise, we start roughly. It almost falls like an academic year. So we
Yeah.
start in September ish, and then finish in the spring, June, May, and June.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll do um, because it's a community orchestra. I'm not sure everybody does know this, but it is associated with Central Oregon Community College. It's actually a class.
Oh.
So it actually follows, like, the main concerts follow that academic calendar. So we have a fall concert, a winter concert series. Each of those has 3 shows
But
per
people don't
each.
need to be enrolled in order to perform, do they? In the
Actually, yeah,
They do.
everybody who's
Every
in.
single person in the symphony is enrolled at COCC
Yeah, isn't
for
that
a
crazy?
class. That
Yeah,
is crazy.
yeah.
So and then but the class is practice, or are you actually like do you teach stuff in there?
Yeah, so it's similar in, like if you were at like I went to Portland State and you went to
Yeah.
Portland State, part of your curriculum is being in orchestra.
Right.
And so it's sort of that kind of concept, except this is really common in communities like Bend, or when Bend was smaller,
Yeah.
where the community college or whatever the institution is has an orchestra associated with it that generally has the wider community in it too. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So if I've been playing the flute for 50 years and I want to perform for the Central Oregon Symphony, I sign up for the class.
Sort of. So it's sort of a interesting hodgepodge. So
Yeah.
it's sort of
You give hall passes
No.
to famous local folk? Like we need Bob's flute.
Well, maybe. So it depends on where our needs are in the orchestra, but it
Yeah.
is also sort of run like a professional orchestra. So
Okay.
even though it is a class, like all of our members audition to come in.
Okay.
If you do want to play flute in our orchestra, for example, their symphonies have a limited amount of flutes,
Right.
unlike a band or something like that. So, yeah, it would depend on what our needs are and if there are openings and if you audition and win the audition and that kind of thing. So even when I joined and became the principal, there was like a principal audition, and so I'd audition um, and sort of earn that seat.
They're scared of you now. They can't cut the executive director
Right.
or the instructor. So, so I'm still trying to get my head around it. So do you try out before the class?
Yes.
Okay, and then if you make the cut,
Then
you enroll,
Yeah.
and then during those classes, you're pretty much learning the pieces that you're going to be performing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, in general, that's how it works. So, yeah, everybody shows up to the first rehearsal after they've, if and obviously, if you've been a member, you're in the orchestra already.
Right.
But yeah, and then whoever is playing in that term gets enrolled to that class.
And how do you choose the pieces?
So that is up to the conductor,
Okay.
who's also our sort of artistic director as well.
Yeah.
So in the past 30 years, it's been Michael Gesme
Right.
doing figuring out the schedule and the plan for the year and all that good stuff. And then now it'll be Jonathan.
Yeah. As the executive director, new executive director, what are your hopes and aspirations now moving forward for the symphony?
That's a really good question. I think what we're trying to do is just continue to sustain our community engagement. So
Yeah.
what we're really focused on, besides these symphony concerts that we do, we also have a lot of outreach that we perform within the community. So we have one of our main signature events or performances that we do throughout the year. It's called Music in Public Places. So we send out chamber music groups of members from our symphony, and they go play in libraries and other public places that
Cool.
are free to the public, and anybody can come, and usually are super well attended. We do quite a few of those throughout the year. We have a big children's concert that we generally do in January, and
right.
we got over 1,000 kids showing up last time. In 2026, we did it we collaborated with a lot of different organizations, including the Youth Orchestra and the Cascade Community School, and had a lot of really and Just Joe's Music and all these other
Yeah.
organizations to have booths and present and help guide our kids through this instrument petting zoo where we had instruments everywhere and they got to try them out, and then we did a little performance so they could hear what the orchestra's like. We do an outreach program called Symphony Stars where we take people from our orchestra and put them into different schools and have them discuss their instrument and play and get kids exposed
Wow.
to this type of music. And
Do you fundraise for all of those things specifically, or some of those covered by the college, or how does oversight work for that? Because that's a robust program.
yeah, so we do fundraise for all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So some of it depends on how people contribute. You can contribute to like a specific thing if you're really interested in supporting, music in public
Yeah.
places, or Symphony Stars, which is when we send kids out or people out to the schools.
Yeah.
But then we also, mostly solicit general donations, and all of our we don't charge for tickets. So our main goal is to make the symphony accessible to everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's pay as you go, or pay what you can when you get to the when
exactly.
you get to the event. That's
Yeah,
incredible
yeah.
because that's a lot of shows.
It is a lot. So we
Like,
each and for each series, when we do the symphony, each series has 3 concerts in that weekend. So just with the main series, we have 6, and then yeah, and then we have a chamber concert in April usually, and
do you find that there's, I mean, Central Oregon is growing. Do you find there's more demand, or what's your vibe as Bend is growing? Is symphonic music or a desire for more music like this growing,
yeah.
or is Bend, as people move in, becoming less cultured and dumber? That's really what I'm kind of driving toward.
That's a really interesting question, especially I think because Bend is so outdoor centric.
Yeah,
Um, you know, and but we're all still this size is relatively new, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity for expansion in a variety of ways,
yeah,
but we're still sort of small in some other ways, if that makes sense.
it does for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like
I mean we're awkward. We're not like an awkward size.
yeah.
Nothing fits off the rack.
Exactly. So, we have, if we'd been if we were from Portland, for example, the youth orchestra's been there for 100 years, but
Right,
um I think it's one of the oldest youth orchestras in the nation. And then we come here and it started in 2014. So,
right.
things as we expand, we're adding things, but it's it's hard to it hasn't been established as
Yeah,
long. So
yeah.
yeah, it's very interesting. But I definitely think there's room for expansion. There's the High Desert Chamber Music um, group or organization that started not too long ago, and they've
Right.
had great success in bringing musicians from outside our community to play. And I think there's plenty of room for growth. For sure.
Yeah, I always find that Bend, um, it's always aspiring to be a bigger city. I
Mhm.
mean, even though we can have all the political discussions about growth and, still, if you talk to people who moved here, they're, high on their list, their performing arts center always comes up, and then what are you gonna fill the performing arts center? We did a podcast with the new Bend Ballet
Mm.
that's coming, and you can see all this aspirational um, desire to be more cultured
Yeah.
and to kind of hopefully offset all of our mountain biking, our mountain biking trips, and then in the evening we can go listening
Oh,
to
listen to
some
the
some
symphony.
some symphony.
Yeah.
But do you think? Well, let's just ask. I'm just curious about this in general. If you, from your perspective, do you think that um, symphonic music, classical music, is it having a resurgence? Do you feel like there are um, do you feel younger people are listening to it? Do you feel like it's permeating culture more than it used to,
I
or more than it has in the recent past?
I think so. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more younger audience members coming to our concerts. I mean, but traditionally it's been
Gray
uh,
hairs.
yeah,
We can say it.
a
Yeah,
relatively older audience for
right.
sure. Um, and it really just depends on sort of where people are in their life too.
Mhm.
There's been studies done for symphonic music about one of the reasons that maybe older generations are listening to it is because they have more free time, and they're just it's something that really appeals to them, and that actually just sort of continues generation after generation, even if it's um, an older demographic. So,
Right.
but yeah, that's one of the things that we're really hoping to continue to pursue is find venues when it's sort of like our music in public places, venues where we can
Yeah.
engage a younger audience, engage them in new ways. With different types of venues and different types of um, offerings that might be helpful for families and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and then also bringing in more contemporary or American music as well to sort of uh, sort of add to sort of our stalwarts like Beethoven and
Yeah.
Mozart, but also bring some new life and blood and interest
Yeah.
into the performances.
I had this conversation a little bit when we had the director of the Sun River Music Festival and on that podcast. And,
Yeah.
I mean, younger people are being exposed to classical music through video games,
Hmm.
so much more. And, we had occasion when we were in Portland to take my son to the performance of all the Zelda pieces, and it was amazing because they had the screen and they were showing parts of the game which I knew nothing about, but the music was incredible,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I've also seen other other video games and seen their music going on tour over in Europe,
Mhm.
and that just seems like such a way that it must be getting to younger audiences
Yeah,
through that,
yeah, definitely. And both through film and through games, this style of music is still super popular, and also, really connecting with those with that different demographic and with those
Yeah.
youth. Yeah, for sure. And were you up in Portland when you saw that? Was it it?
We actually went up there. I mean, it was a great duo. I saw the Blazers and
Uh-huh.
then I saw Zelda,
Uh-huh.
so it was the 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we went up there for it. I mean,
Yeah.
we traveled for it for sure.
Yeah. So I think the Oregon Symphony has been really sort of leaning into that a lot,
Yeah.
like bringing in different types of artists and different types of music, and then doing film and showing videos with it. So it's definitely something worth pursuing.
Yeah. I'm saying this so that I don't have to go to Portland again because the
Yeah.
Blazers aren't any good now, and well, they're better than they were, but yeah, but seeing something like that here would be incredible,
Yeah, that'd be really great.
and it's caught fire.
Hmm.
So, what do you in terms of classical music? What is it that you like to listen to? What's your I know that you probably listen to it all. But specifically, is there any period that you like more than another, and if so, why?
Yeah, it's a tough question to answer. The
Well, you're a cellist, so you gotta have lean towards somebody who is good at that particular
yeah, right.
instrument.
What first comes to my mind is like when I do teach history or music theory about um, all these different eras and different composers. I really try to bring out what there is of interest and how to sort of enjoy, like at least understand,
Yeah.
like enjoy. I don't want to make you like it, for example, but that has opened my mind as well. So I feel like as I've grown in different periods of my life, I've started to enjoy and actually appreciate other types of classical music that I hadn't before. Um, but if you do, but yeah, if we do think about the cello, uh, the most, I guess, standard
Cello-ish.
cello-ish piece. And you probably heard of these, but there's this set of six suites written by Bach, and those are probably the cornerstone of all cello literature.
Yeah.
That everybody has to learn, and we
Yeah.
don't necessarily learn all of them, but we have to learn a certain amount, and
Yeah.
and you really come to love his compositional style and his pieces.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, he wrote this piece called the Goldberg Variations that I
Yeah.
absolutely adore. Um, so if I had to choose one thing, it'd probably be him.
Yeah, when you're going into the bunker, you'll grab the Goldberg variations.
Exactly. Yeah.
And why the Goldberg variations? I mean, what is it about them?
I don't know. They just are so compelling.
Yeah.
There's they're relatively short each variation, but they're just so wonderfully done. There's um, whimsy and there's like
Yeah.
heartache and um, yeah, it just I don't know. It just really touches the soul.
Are there any other composers of note for you? It doesn't necessarily be a cellist, but what would you
Um,
recommend for listeners if they had to go out and like they were forced to listen to classical
my
music?
goodness. Uh, I don't I don't know. That'd be really hard to say.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I mean, I always point people to Mozart. I mean,
yeah,
that's
for
just
sure.
it's too poppy and easy to
Yeah,
access,
yeah. Mozart's really easy to access
Yeah.
for sure. Um, I yeah. I mean, people love Beethoven.
Yeah.
His piano sonatas are fantastic.
I think that
Uh,
people like Beethoven tend to like Beethoven because they like music scores.
mm.
Like, I also think that's a really easy entry point because you start listening to it and you're like, "Oh, yeah, this sounds like Star Wars a little bit."
Yeah, right. There is some theatricality for
There's theatricality, that's a
for sure.
better, more
Yeah,
refined way to put it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah. There's a lot of drama in his music for sure.
yeah, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the, close of our, time here on the podcast. Is there anything that listeners, readers, watchers should know about the symphony? Anything coming up where they can, what's the first point of access for them?
Yeah, so the first point of access would just be our website, which is cosymphony.com. And we're within days of announcing at least the dates for next season.
Oh, great.
So look to
Well,
your
by the time this comes out, it'll probably be right on the
it might be.
right on it. Right?
Yeah, so we'll be sending out flyers to our past members and email blast and
Yeah.
stuff on our website. So look to that for sort of our season schedule for this coming year.
It's fair to say with new executive director, new conductor, that people who've been coming to the symphony, they're probably going to see some change.
There'll be a little change, I think, yeah. But I also think, the things that you loved about the symphony before will be there
Yeah.
too.
Great.
We're all still there, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This has been the Bend Don't Break podcast. If you like what you heard, go to bendsource.com, become a member, sign up, get our newsletters. We work really hard on those. You'd be surprised. And help us keep doing things like this. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Bend Don't Break podcast, powered by The Source Weekly. To read, hear, and see more of what we do, go to bendsource.com.